Oh, good morning there, LinkedIn community. I don't know what it is there today, but I woke up and I was feeling, just a little bit there frisky, and I'm not really sure what's going on. I felt like I wanted to have a little lutefisk, maybe do a little ice fishing. I'm sorry, wait a minute, what was going on? I think I might have been channeling something, James, maybe my past Minnesota days. Anyway,
Never speak of them again.
yeah, never speak of Minnesota
See what I
again.
do? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I see what you did there. I like that. Anyways, we have a fun episode today with, I'll just give you a little hint because James will bring our guest in, but let's talk about Damage Prevention Academy. That kind of says it all.
You
James, how
bet.
are you this fine and beautiful morning?
Jim, I'm well. Nice and brisk day here in Texas. I think it's in the 40s or 50s. I'll take it. Feels like winter. But our guest may know winter a little bit different than we do down here in Texas. Jay Stevens, we figured out a new title for him. He can make his own title. He's the boss. So the big kahuna at Damage Prevention Academy, Jay Stevens. Thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Up here in the Great White North, Doing great.
Hey.
Had to throw it in there.
There's the tie-in, yeah. So if you don't know, Jay is one of our Canadian brothers up there in Alberta, right? So we're glad to have him on the show today. Jay and I met actually, Jim, at one of the last shows I went to. In fact, it may have been the last show last year before the pandemic started. Jay and I met there, and then we've kept in touch since. Look, he's still rocking a hat. The best hat in the biz. I love it.
It is.
All right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I was excited, and I was excited to do a little bit of my past 20 plus years of Minnesota living because we were so close to the border, and a little bit of my voice. But let's get to business. Let's get it real. Jay, would you bring us up to speed a little bit about yourself, your background,
Sure.
and give us a little insight into the Damage Prevention Academy and all the high-level fun stuff that you guys do?
Well, I appreciate that. First, I'll start off by saying thanks to both of you for inviting me here today to chat with you. And it's a great honor. You guys are both amazing guys and put on a great show, and I enjoy it. So a little bit of intro on me. I guess I'll start by saying, I've had a long and storied history. I have a diverse background in a number of different areas, including sales, whether it's corporate or basically high level sales, construction, I could go on forever, like basically everything. I've done almost every task in most businesses for a number of different reasons. And at that, I talked to my children about the sum of that equation of your life, bringing you to where you are now, which is, damage prevention, which is, of course, a culmination of all my experience. So that's, again, my background is very diverse, and I guess that's what makes me good at what I do. I have that ability to interact with a lot of people. Awesome. Little history on Damage Prevention Academy, how it all came about. It was the oil and gas sector was sagging here in Alberta, one of the many times in the past decade. And of course, at that time, I was in oil and gas safety. And of course, safety at that time was like the first thing to chop. It's like there's lots of safety professionals, and those guys seem to go first. And hence, I started looking at different opportunities.
Yeah.
At that time, this is probably 2011-ish. I was what's called a ground disturbance level 2 certified trainer here in Canada, which is a certification put on by the Alberta Common Ground Alliance, supervisory level damage prevention ground disturbance program, which I then became, instructing individuals all over Western Canada, but in the classroom. So you'd have 30 people in the classroom. It became very expensive for not only the corporations to hire you, but also for the students to take the class, which then led me to really chase down damage prevention online. And then the rest is history. So started from there, took the concept, started growing it into a business, started in North Dakota with a company called Hess. We built some programs for the ground disturbance team out there with Charles Columbus. And then from there, we partnered up with Texas. And again, like I said, the rest is history. So a little bit of information that people probably don't know about me is that I'm a second generation damage prevention professional.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually told that to Jim the other day. I said, I hope he tells the story about, how he got involved in it and that you were second generation. So I'm glad you brought that up because I thought it was crazy. I thought I had imagined that. And I was telling Jim and he said, I don't remember that. So it must have been one of those that we shared maybe somewhere else, maybe at a bar.
Guaranteed.
Did you guys like dream about that and get it through osmosis or something? Or
Yeah, I think it was sitting around a table in a hotel, having a couple of waters.
there?
Waters.
Yeah.
Strong waters.
But so second generation being really cool because my dad, John Stevens Sr., was a electrical engineer by trade, worked his way up into at the time it was called Calgary Power, and then became this immense corporation called TransAlta Utilities, which was a electrical power generation company. He was then with all the damages and deaths that were happening at that time, he became an advocate for damage prevention, and then was on the board of directors, one of the original board of directors of Alberta One Call. So I used to travel around a lot with him as a young man, talking about damage prevention. And of course, I had no idea what he's talking about, no clue, right? So I wish, God rest his soul, but if he was still here today, he'd be very proud of me. And what I've accomplished with this business, and it would he'd have a great amount of pride and satisfaction knowing that I've kind of carried on that torch.
Man, that's awesome. That's a great story. That's exactly how I remember it. So either it was a very vivid dream, or it really did happen. I was just thinking I was thinking as you said that, how disappointed my son's going to be when I have to explain to him what I am doing right now, and how he's, I can't decide how he's going to take it yet. Jim, what do you think?
Wait, you mean like what we're doing with the coffee?
Yeah, when I try to explain it to him, and that this is his legacy that he'll have to follow the footsteps of, he might get really excited. He'd be like, I've always wanted to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, they love that stuff.
Jay, you guys are super into training. We're super into training. We're always looking for really innovative ways to, hit those retention marks and make sure people are retaining that information and being able to translate it, whatever type of learner they are. And we hear terms like gamification come up, and I know you and I have talked about it. Will you share with our viewers what that means and how that's kind of utilized and what you guys are doing with it over there?
Yeah, I think that, thank you for that. And yeah, you're right. We have a lot of commonalities there. And, I appreciate you kind of lumping us in with Energy WorldNet, but you guys do a phenomenal job out there. So I appreciate that. I guess gamification, you can sum it up as in just a few clicks, you can turn your training into an addiction almost, like goal setting, goal reaching powerhouse. That's really what gamification is, because people automatically think about, gaming, like playing something, but in reality, it's a number of different layers all interconnected that make that gamification in the learning environment. So again, I was going to share my screen, but I don't necessarily need to do that. I think we could talk about the various levels that it's up to you guys, but again, we'll just talk about those different levels and we'll just go through them. And you guys ask me questions, and because again, you guys probably do this on your end as well. So when it comes to say points, you guys use points in gamification. So points are probably the starting point, the mightiest gamification element that's out there. Customizing the number of points your learners earn through a fixed set of actions. So again, if you, depending on the actions that you set within your learning management system, you can then reward those individuals based on their various interactions with those points. So that's probably the number one thing is points. So by activating a point system, you'll activate learning. So I'll start there. Do you guys have anything to add to that, to the point side of the conversation, or?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that are scoreboard people, whether they're public facing or closet scoreboard people. As you can see, that behind me, the high score is something that's built into us since we were little kids, and we want to be up there. So no, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, you're right. And one thing that that scoreboard mentality, it's the it does increase those actions, and those points increase user engagement, or one aspect of that user engagement. So it's critical. The points is the first element.
Awesome.
2 is levels. Much like that Golden Tee game behind you, and I think that's a Turtles game, which you were telling me. You guys built that one, right?
Yep.
Both of them?
That one's got, that one over there has about, I don't know, about 500 games on it, different systems, all kinds of stuff. So anything
Well, I look
you can
forward to when
imagine.
restrictions are gone. I'm coming down there. I'm going to have my name on your leaderboard. So I'll be getting some points up on your system.
Just for gamification research reasons would we
absolutely
these back here.
Just so we can circle back with another episode so that we can have more verifiable, quantifiable data.
Now we're talking about.
All right, perfect. Love it. So then next is levels. So again, I've just got a few notes in front of me, so I'll just kind of throw those notes out. But by adding a layer of interest and functionality to your training and environment is the levels. These create a dynamic learning environment and path for those users, as courses are accessible to those learners and who have progressed to the next level. So again, if you think about sales training, right? Sales, highly competitive. And I don't do sales training personally, but I've taken bunches of sales training. I've done it for years.
Yes.
But the competition amongst those people, even though sales is a little bit different, but that concept rings true through all business. Like sales are hyper competitive, but people still like to feel like they're achieving something in a work environment. Makes them feel good when they've achieved more levels, because they see it on that scoreboard. And it's not like they're walking around super, kind of, maybe they are, I don't know, really proud of that achievement. So it's something that people try to attain, and it really brings another layer to that gamification. So this type of hidden content sparks the interest, giving learners that much needed boost to interact with gamification and the training software more often. And that's really what we're trying to do. So if you can have the points and the levels, it increases that engagement and potentially course completion, because that's a whole other conversation to get altogether. What do you guys think about levels?
Yeah, again, I think it's a concept that we're all familiar with, because if you think, for instance, in our company, maybe you have a level 1, 2, and 3 of, again, a salesperson, right? Mm-hmm. It's something that, again, that is a pattern that we've created in society and other things, that when we tie it back, you want to shoot for that next level. It gives you a short-term and a long-term goal. So however you're wired, whether you want that instant gratification or you're looking for that long-term thing, it just gives that learner, I think, both options. So again, a little bit more high or advanced, I guess, compared to just the score, mm-hmm. But another thing to shoot for. Awesome.
Yeah, I think they all depends on how your system is built out. Like every learning management system has varying degrees of gamification, right? So it's not all going to look the same, but the idea, like you said, James, is that score that you're talking about, the scoreboard, can be an accumulation of points and levels, right? The other one is badges. People love that. Badges or trophies, right?
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
I like how it's all being tied into, really, and I'm being very serious, our next generations. My grandchild can get on a tablet or a game and do things that I could never do in their hand-eye coordination and your ability to navigate. I'm amazed. And I think that, tying it this way, for the potential third generation in your family to be in the safety business, it's kind of teeing it up for that,
And Jim, it's funny that you say that, because I was going to ask Jay what his perception was. So, and this will lead in well, Jay, to our last kind of section about VR is when we rolled out VR to our industry, we had a lot of people kind of scratching their heads, right? They're like, I don't play those games, or, oh, my grandson has that, or whatever it might be, right? And I would have to level set people and say, check this out, though. I know what you're thinking, but the minute you put this headset on and look around, you'll understand what I'm trying to get across, right? Like your idea of this will change. And right now you're thinking it's a video game. And so, oh, immediately it's going to help out those young generations coming in. Jay, what is your feeling and what have you seen in the industry, especially damage prevention, but as a whole? How do you think people, are they receptive to gamification, or is it, that's for the kids type of deal? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's interesting is because the name itself, you just nailed it, is that they automatically think, I don't want to be playing a game, right? This is serious, right? This is,
Right. Sure.
I'm trying to learn how to, dig within the tolerance zone without, severing a fiber optic line or whatever, right? So, they get that. Your battle that you're having is a common battle, like that we have too, is that you have to educate folks, be like, okay, you're not going to be, you can have,
you're not going and shooting villains,
yeah, yeah.
You're still doing the same things. We're just taking the report in the back end, adding it up, and making making some things happen, right? So
exactly.
I just wondered if you guys had ran into some. Once we get past that hurdle, it's funny how receptive everyone is, though. And Jim was the same way. Jim, you had to don that helmet for the first time when it was VR. Let's take it to the VR realm. You donned it for the first time. You had a vision in your head of what this thing was, and then you put it on, and everything changed. And your mind races with possibilities of, we can put people in dangerous situations. We can really go after AOCs in an aggressive fashion for the first time. Like, they have the freedom to fail. These things immediately start happening in your mind. Gamification, we got to get people there. And it might have been, Jay, you might have nailed it with, it might have been the misnomer of we called it gamification. We would have just called it like budgets, or some boring, somebody would have been like, man.
Yeah. I better check this out. Budget sounds super interesting.
Let me just bring my perspective.
No offense to all the budget people.
Yes, sorry.
Love you.
No.
Accounting, we love you.
Yeah, we
do passionately. But being seriously, my generation, that to us was foreign, and until we try it, and then all of a sudden we understand it and see the value and that freedom to fail. That was an actual senior vice president for a major utility that has over 13,000 employees, and he was in charge of safety. And he brought that to, we were talking one day, and he's like, gives them freedom to fail. If they mess here, once he understood, he goes, I'd rather them fail in a virtual world than before they go out there and potentially something bad could happen.
Yes.
And I have to say, that's my generation, because we're not used to it, where other generations, they have cell phones at 5, they have tablets at 3, they're doing all this stuff. And to them, it's second nature. It's like, why wouldn't we do it? And we're getting there. We're getting there. And if I could do it, anybody can do it.
Exactly. Great point. And then, don't do yourself a disservice there, Jim. You're a very knowledgeable man, but you're right. You nailed it. Is some people have the aversion or the belief that it's going to be difficult or challenging or something really hard to learn. And in reality, it is. Obviously, it's our jobs as organizations to train these people in a way that they understand how to use it right out of the gate in an efficient manner. But yeah, you nailed it. It's just about saying, hey, actually, it's not that bad. Check this out, interact with this, and you'll find that it's not as challenging as you think.
And it's fun, and it's learning, and the whole bit. James, can I ask a favor of you today?
Yes, sir.
Would it be possible for myself to ask a very important, one of the final questions to?
Let me jump in on this one. Let me ask one more thing to Jay. Let's move into VR, since we kind of just jumped right in. I'm a pro.
Rock and roll.
Jay, I am a pro at this, and that was my goal, just to transition out of that right into the next one. Been doing this a long time, for 6 months. So hang with me. We talked about VR a little bit, Jay, and how it's changing the ways we think about training. And we've been big advocates. We are in that realm as well. We're working with a lot of folks on that. I think in the damage prevention world, there's a lot of opportunity there with VR. I think we're nearing, if we're not over the hump, with the folks that were fighting to help educate on how vital this could be to putting people in proper safe situations. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing, what you're seeing, what your thoughts are on VR just as a whole in the damage prevention world specifically?
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
And beyond. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll start by saying that we solely focus on damage prevention. We're not
Yeah.
like we're damage prevention experts here, and we don't necessarily. And we say damage prevention as it's like it's just utilities, but in reality, damage and prevention, the two words. I mean, the definitions of such could include all elements of safety, but
Yep.
we really focus on damage prevention. And the reason why, just that drawback to the story of trying to provide back, give something back to the industry that we serve, because it's a unique dynamic. So that said, the greatest challenges that we face in damage prevention from let's say from a one call operations standpoint is user engagement. It is not a regulated course. It is not a mandatory course. It is, of course, there's laws in every state, of course, like Texas or Louisiana, and it all changes. I mean, you got different tolerance zones, you've got different reporting requirements, but it's dry material. And I mean, you guys might have a different opinion, but it's dry material.
That's
So
what it is. Yeah.
right. And so the challenge is to educate the intended learner, like the excavators, primarily third-party excavator, but also utility operators and their locators. But how do we go to the next level? You said it earlier, like e-learning or online learning is nothing new. There's just been new things added to the mix, like gamification and instructor-led training, or VILT, or micro learning, or all these acronyms get thrown out in the mix. Virtual reality or VR, AR, or XR is now. It's not becoming. It's not like a year from now or 2 years from now. It's actually happening now across all industries. And so you're right. We are. I think we're past the hump of like people going, "Whoa, what's going on?" Right? One, because of cost. Right? The technology's advanced so far that the costs have come way down. Now it's accessible. Right? So you can pick up an Oculus. What is it? The Oculus Quest 2 for like with 256. It's nothing. Right?
Yep.
And
Jay, I think too that we finally reached a point where we're seeing enterprise models too that are reliable, that we're able to do big batching and setups and not have to have such a manual process everywhere. I don't know. Were you about to say that? I just stole your thunder, didn't I?
No, you did it. Exactly. You're right.
Welcome to the show, bro. Welcome to the show. This is what we do.
Yeah, we got to do this more often. This is a lot of fun, but this is, but you're right. And we're experiencing the same thing, because it's those costs come down. So do those barriers with those large corporations. They look at that gym, like you said, the utility operator, 13,000 employees. If you're talking virtual reality to that guy, he's probably like, well, all he sees is this massive potential price tag of previously. Right now, you can actually deploy it effectively. And that's our mission with VR. Is there's a number of different ways to handle VR, but we're trying to find an economical route to get into the damage prevention area with this technology, so that people can use it at just a basic level. Because there's VR with a headset, and then there's VR on a mobile device. And so our goal is to say, okay, so VR, it's got gamification, but the reality is that what you want to do is transport that learner or that worker into the scenario, right? Because you train a guy online with images and stock images and videos and animations. That guy is not seeing the actual work site. Take that guy to the work site where he's going to be working on, where there's overhead power lines, excavations, hazards, vehicular stuff going on. I mean, that is real and becomes easier to train that person. And then the retention level goes way up, and the engagement goes way up. So then it's a victory essentially for all across the board, the trainers, the company, and the employees.
For sure.
And that aspect though, I keep going back whenever we talk about cost and safety in the same breath. I think about, it may seem, I don't know what the right word I'm looking for, but when you think about somebody's safety, whether they can prevent themselves from just cutting their hand, or a vehicular, a backup, anything. You think about it and start to add up all that lost time, medical expenses, all those things for an organization. Let's just say an organization that has 10,000 people in it. That's a lot of a lot of time and money that could be potentially saved by having a very proactive safety culture and safety program. And this gamification, guys, I got to tell you, it's drawing me in. I want to play it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to get to level, I want to get to level 24 or whatever the level is. I mean, it's, I'm not gonna say competitive, but it's like, it's a challenge, and it's a fun challenge. So,
Well, especially in big teams, Jim, like you have big teams, it's competitive, right? Like even though maybe they're not all commission based, but they're still performance based, and they're still pay raises, bonuses, things that people get for working harder, for educating themselves. But it's also an individual thing. As companies, we have to remember these folks that work for us are also human beings that have visions and dreams and goals. And it's not just ours. We're not just trying to funnel them up through our channel to get us where we want to go. They also want to be educated, learn, grow, earn more, spend more time with their families. So that gamification element leads back to them bettering themselves for their futures and the companies themselves.
Amen. I'm just going to add one cherry on top of that, and that's, we went to PHMSA's training center in Oklahoma City a couple of years back, and we brought VR to a bunch of their trainers, inspectors, and we were reviewing it. We had a room full of probably 15 people or so, and we have video of it. We show it when we talk about VR because I think it personifies it well. We had about 15, 16 people in the room, and they were all running through it, and they were cheering for each other and high-fiving. And I said, when was the last time you were in an ILT or a CBT or you fill in the blank where somebody was cheering or high-fiving? You're more worried about keeping everybody awake, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, just the server with the coffee, right? Or the IV drip.
No doubt. Jimmy, why don't you do the honors today?
You okay with me doing it today, James? It's a little mixed up.
So, the holidays. Go for it.
It is the holidays.
Yeah. When would this air? Will this air? This will be our Christmas week episode. Huh?
I had an ugly Christmas sweater on and a Santa hat for you boys today, but my wife told me to take it off.
Gosh. Wow. There. You should have wished for something better.
Jay, this last question is riveting. It's going to take you a while to think about it, so prepare yourself mentally.
Pressure's on.
And emotionally. Jay?
I think you should, Jim, I think you should do it in your best Minnesotan accent.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, sure, there. Oh, don't you know? Yeah, we're going to have a little lutefisk. I'm ready there. Oh, yeah, sure, it's cold. That's an Alberta Clipper coming in and a Saskatchewan Screamer. Oh, boy, we got to get the cows in. Let's go.
Love it.
Go, Jim.
Okay, Jay, it's going to be a hard question there, don't you know? So hold on there. Jay, I got to know. Jay, do you love what you do? Do you love what you do?
Wow.
If I have to translate that, I was asking you, Jay, do you love what you do?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know how to answer. Of course, it's funny. I absolutely love what I do, and maybe it shows in this meeting or this call.
It does.
But if you talk to anybody that I deal with, it's just I have a huge passion for it. I even right down to the granular stuff like customer service inside of our system or support. I'm like jumping in there all the time because I love the people that we serve. I love to train people, and at the end of the day, it's not about the money. I mean, money is just a byproduct of the services that you provide and the value you provide. But I really feel good about what I do when I know and I don't know for a fact, but if I have a small impact on somebody that doesn't get injured or get in an accident or cause an environmental contamination or God forbid a death, if I can just prevent that, that gives me the drive to just keep churning and burning, just keep going, right?
Yeah. Jay, that was a great answer. And James, you agree with me? I mean, he was bleeding out passion all through.
Sure. No doubt.
Awesome.
That's why he's on. That's why he's on. We picked the good ones.
Well, hey, I got to go back to something, guys, because yeah, I got something back, and I want to hear this because it was on your agenda sheet. There was a huge discussion around our kitchen table last night with our kids and my wife, and we were all laughing our faces off trying to do this.
Scared.
And we figured out a trick. So I want you to say Irish wristwatch 3 times.
Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch. So audience, we put that on we have a little flow sheet. And somebody taught us that, James. I can't remember who, but they said if you say it,
that was the Upsco guys, wasn't it? From CFL?
It might have been the Upsco guys, yeah. But anyway, it's supposed to coordinate your brain and your mouth so you can say words, articulate. And we forgot to do it today. But yes, it's a pretty good little trick.
It was a tongue twister. My 8-year-old, 9-year-old, my 15-year-old, my wife, we were all laughing, trying to say this thing. And I figured out finally that if I said it really angrily, like I was angry, I could say it really fast, but I won't do that today for this call.
Oh,
come on, give it to us. Come on.
Irish wristwatch.
Yeah.
Irish wristwatch.
Like a Viking.
Right.
You're
right.
My neighbors must have been like, what's going on with Jay next door? He's been yelling for like 30 minutes about a wristwatch.
Perfect. I love it. Man, it was a good time, Jay. We're glad you were on today. Jimmy, I'll let you take it home. You're really good at that part.
Absolutely. On behalf of James and I, thank you so much, Jay, for joining us. You're a great friend, a great comrade, a great colleague. We appreciate everything you're doing in the industry to keep all of us safe or safer. We thank you. LinkedIn community, please connect with Jay. Hit the connect button with him. Follow the Damage Prevention Academy. Get involved. Ask questions. Do anything you could do. And I think Jay said it best. If he could help one person do one thing safer, it's all worthwhile. We want everybody to be safe. That's the goal, ultimately, of everything that we do. So on behalf of all of us today, we thank you. We will see you next time on Coffee with Jim and James. And if you want to be a guest, hit us up. We're, we would love to have a conversation about that. Until next time, take care.
Thanks, gents. Appreciate it.